Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be discussing my Casio Duro MDV-106 modifications. Back in February 2020, this blue Duro was the first watch I reviewed on my channel, and I still consider it to be the ultimate champagne watch for lemonade money. I absolutely love this watch. I like it so much, in fact, I've decided to add it to my own personal collection. So I recently purchased this blue Duro from Amazon.com for only €62, including import tax and including shipping, which is an incredibly low price. And I then modified it with a Sapphire Crystal with blue tinted AR coating, this oyster style bracelet, and also a solid milled stainless steel clasp, as you can see. So the first thing I did was remove the strap. I'll show you the original strap that comes on the Duro. It's a resin strap, and it looks and feels very similar to the resin straps Casio use on their digital watches, such as the G-Shock, which I've previously reviewed. I dislike the teeth on the underside rather than it being smooth, because it feels rough against the skin with these hard plastic-like teeth. And the resin is very stiff. It feels more like plastic rather than soft silicone rubber. I previously reviewed the Barton Elite silicone rubber strap, which I fitted to my Duro, and that really did enhance the comfort level of the piece. So if the bracelet isn't your own personal taste, I highly recommend you fit a Barton Elite silicone rubber strap. I'll show you the other side to it. As you can see, it also has these teeth on the underside. Although it is made to last, it's very durable. These, like Casio digital resin straps, they work very well. They last for a good length of time, although they're not particularly comfortable to wear. So I removed the resin strap and I fitted this oyster style bracelet. Now the bracelet came from Timely store on AliExpress. It cost €21 and it's made specifically to fit the Duro. If you look at the end links, you can see they perfectly match the profile of the lugs to the head of the piece. Now the negative is they use hollow folded end links rather than solid end links, and personally I would prefer if it had solid end links, but of course one isn't going to get that level of quality at €21. The fit is very good. They come with fat spring bars, which are a good tight fit inside the hollow end links, and there's no play. The end links are a good fit to the head of the piece, no extra articulation, and the profile perfectly matches it, so they fit very flush. The bracelet links itself are very well finished, beautiful luster as you can see to the brushed satin finish to the top side and underside, and the flanks are mirror polished to a good standard, so the quality of the bracelet is acceptable. Uses push pins rather than screw pins, which are a clear cost cutting measure, but that is acceptable bearing in mind it's €21. Now I'll just bring something to your attention. The bracelet at €21, it comes on this pressed stainless steel clasp, and the negative is it only has 3 micro adjustment holes, which is clearly a cost cutting measure. And as you can see, the interior is pressed stainless steel rather than being solid milled stainless steel. But it is acceptable at €21, but personally I dislike these pressed metal clasps with only 3 micro adjustment holes. It does do the job, it works okay, snaps shut, firm resistance to the 2 triggers, but I decided to upgrade it with this solid milled stainless steel clasp, which has 6 micro adjustment holes, and also it's made from a heavier gauge of 316L grade stainless steel. And this was supplied by AU store on AliExpress, and it costs €8. And for €8 it is a worthwhile upgrade to any bracelet with a pressed metal clasp. For example, recently I reviewed the Ali's Dive Explorer, the AD2112, and that also had a pressed stainless steel clasp, so this milled clasp for €8 is definitely worth buying. AU store sell this clasp in 3 different sizes, 18, 20 and 22mm respectively. So this bracelet tapers from 22mm at the lugs down to 18mm at the clasp. So the size you need for the Duro is 18. It's not 22, which is what you would think, because it's a 22mm bracelet. Now I'll show you the interior. As you can see, solid milled 316L grade stainless steel, brushed satin finish to the top side, underside and flanks. Hinge pins are a good tight fit to the interior, and it's very aesthetically pleasing, beautiful luster to it, no sharp edges, no burrs. The quality is outstanding for only €8, and we also have the benefit of 6 micro adjustment holes rather than only 3, so one can fine tune the length of the bracelet to get the perfect fit. It snaps shut with a nice positive click, flip lock snaps shut with a nice positive click, good firm resistance to the 2 button push triggers, no sharp edges, no burrs, outstanding for €8. Now, the other thing I did was I removed the mineral crystal that comes in the Duro, which doesn't have AR coating, and I pressed in this Sapphire Crystal, which has blue tinted AR coating. So the Sapphire Crystal came from Green Cricket's Funny Product Store, which is a ridiculous name for a watch parts store on AliExpress, but that's the name, Green Cricket's Funny Product Store. If you're looking on AliExpress for crystals for your Duro, the correct size is 32.7mm diameter by 2.7mm thick. So I'll show you the original Duro crystal, which is made from mineral crystal. As you can see, it is 2.7mm thick, and the diameter is exactly 32.7, so that is the size you need. Now, it's a flat sapphire crystal, and it doesn't have any clear AR coating on the underside. This is something that really Casio should do. They should implement this to the specification of the Duro, even if it means increasing the price. Even if they used a clear AR coating on a sapphire crystal, that would significantly enhance the piece. The problem with mineral crystal is it's not as hard and scratch resistant as sapphire, and of course the lack of AR coating means there's a lot of glare. It's highly reflective, as you can see. Now, Green Cricket's Funny Product Store sell 3 versions of this flat sapphire crystal, which is made specifically to fit the Duro. Blue tinted, red tinted, or no AR coating. So you have those 3 options, and of those 3 versions I think the blue tinted is the best option. And because this has a blue sunburst dial and the blue anodized aluminium bezel insert, the blue tint makes sense. It does work, it complements it very well. Also works very well, the blue AR coating does reduce the glare and the highly reflective nature of the silver indices and the silver hands, which are mirror polished. So I'm very pleased with it. The blue tint looks nice when it catches the light, and it's the perfect fit because the dimensions are exactly the same, 32.7 by 2.7mm thick. The sloped aluminium bezel insert slightly projects above. It's not perfectly flush with the flat sapphire crystal, and the original looks exactly the same as this. It's also 2.7. But there is a slight bevel on the edge of the crystal, as you can see, which catches the light, which is identical to the original mineral crystal. So it looks very similar to standard specification, but of course sapphire crystal is harder and more scratch resistant, and one gets the benefit of the AR coating. Very easy to remove the mineral crystal and press in the sapphire crystal. One can reuse the rubber O-ring. So this is the crystal press I used. I purchased this from Amazon back in 2019, and I've used it for the last 3 years to remove several crystals and replace them. This crystal is a Zacro crystal press from amazon.co.uk, and it only costs €19 including shipping. Comes with a range of sizes of nylon dies which have brass inserts. And if you look at the centre section closely, you can see the brass insert is pressed into the nylon body of the die, and it's threaded, and the thread fits both the spigots on the piston and also the spigots on the cast steel base. And they're very well made, no sharp edges, no burrs, and they're reversible, 2 different diameters on each of the dies, full range of sizes, every size die you could possibly need to replace a crystal from a watch, regardless of whether it uses an acrylic, crystal, hesselite, plexiglass, mineral crystal or sapphire crystal respectively. This will do it all. And the benefit of it being nylon is it's not hard, so it's not going to damage, it's not going to scuff and scratch the sapphire crystal when you're replacing it, and excellent quality. Now the Duro is a large diameter head of the piece, it's 45mm, so I had to use the largest die in my set, this one, which is the 50mm die, and it's also a slender case, it's slim, because it's a quartz rather than being a mechanical movement piece. So I actually had to stack the dies, as you can see, and by stacking the die on top of each other I was able to get enough depth on the piston coming down to press the crystal through the case and out of the bezel, as you can see. And it worked very well, and refitting the sapphire crystal was just a reversal of the process. The 50mm die gives a good base for the 45mm head of the piece to sit on, and then one just presses down the piston, as you can see. And it takes a lot of pressure to press in a sapphire crystal. If you're not used to doing it, you can feel like you're applying too much pressure to the crystal, and you'll worry about cracking it. But it does take a lot of force. What I recommend you do is, when you're pressing it in, keep rotating the head of the piece round and round through 360 degrees and give it a press at periodic intervals. don't just put the crystal onto the head of the piece and then press down in one press. It works better if you want to get it pressed down evenly all the way round if you rotate it. So rotate it, press down, rotate it, press down again, and then you'll gradually press it down with even pressure all the way round the circumference of the sapphire crystal. The problem is, if you don't sit the crystal perfectly flat first time and you try to press down the die onto it in one push, if it's not perfectly flat, you can crack it because you're putting more pressure on the edge of the crystal rather than even pressure all the way around the circumference. And the extra pressure on the edge can cause the crystal to crack to the centre. So it's better if you just gradually press down and rotate it and then keep pressing it down. And you'll know when you've got it correct because it will look even. As you can see, this one is fitted perfectly just below the top edge of the aluminium bezel inserts as per the original. Now, in pressing it out, it doesn't take as much force as you would think to remove the mineral crystal. I pressed it out in one push, and of course one doesn't have to be so careful removing it because it doesn't matter if you crack the crystal on the way out, you're not going to be reusing it. Pressing the sapphire crystal on the way in, you have to be more careful and do it more gradually. So I would say to you, if you're pressing it out, don't be afraid to give it a good hard push when you're removing the mineral crystal, but putting in the sapphire crystal, be more careful. So I'm absolutely delighted with the look. I'll give you wrist shots and you can see how it looks on my wrist once again. Now, it's incredibly well balanced on the 22mm bracelet, but the thing to note is putting it on the stainless steel bracelet does significantly add to the heft of the piece. This is now 162 grams and I've removed one link from the bracelet. Something to consider. This is really only a modification you want to do if you have a larger 7 to 8 inch wrist. But overall, I think it looks absolutely gorgeous with the blue tinted AR coated sapphire crystal and also the oyster style bracelet with the solid milled stainless steel clasp with 6 micro adjustment holes. And with one link removed from the bracelet, it fits my wrist to perfection. This is one of the least expensive watches I've ever owned, €62 for the watch, €21 for the bracelet, €8 for the milled clasp and €21 for the sapphire crystal. But it's one of the most satisfying, and it just proves the point that it doesn't necessarily mean the more expensive watch you buy, a €10,000 high-tier piece doesn't necessarily give more feel-good factor and more satisfaction than a €62 Casio Duro. The truth is, I enjoy wearing this watch more than I did wearing my 2021 Submariner, which was a €14,000 piece on the grey market. So I think that this is absolutely gorgeous. I highly recommend the Duro to you, and I hope you've enjoyed my discussion of my modifications. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.